What's up everyone, I hope you're all having an amazing day. I know I am. I'm just excited to get you guys another entertaining video. I feel pretty good about last week's video. It got about 5 likes and 5 dislikes, so I guess some snowflakes must have watched it and got a little bit offended when I said it's okay to question the media, but I'm mainly happy that it got 40 views in just 2 days. That's actually pretty good. It also got me another subscriber, which is awesome. For today's video, we're going to be talking about a Florida mother named Keisha King. Before I get into who this person is, let's watch the video that's making her go viral.
Education meeting in Florida to ban critical race theory, and I spoke up against it because I knew it was happening and they were trying to tell us that this was not in schools. And I'm like, no, it is. I've heard it. It's there. And so critical race theory, one of the first tenets is the idea that America is intrinsically racist. There is nothing you can do to remove the racism. There is no repentance for white folks. Apparently, only white people can commit the sin of racism, according to these people. I don't know where they get that from. But it is, everything about it is anti-biblical. It is anti-American, and it's just a flat-out lie. And I mean, I am willing to, I think what we need to do, it has to be us all doing it together. So maybe we can, after we can get together and figure out how we, do it all at one time, so it really sends the message, you do not have the right to indoctrinate our children. They are our children. They were given to us by God, and you do not have the right to teach that they think that they do have the right to take our tax-paying dollars from our children and then teach them garbage. I mean, they don't even bother to teach math, reading, science, language arts. They're like, we don't need to do that. Let's just give them critical race theory and teach them how to organize and be little mini Marxists and activists. Like, no, thank you. We don't want that. So that's all I got. I feel like that's the only thing left to do, honestly, is just a mass exodus. We just got to pull them out. I know it's hard. It's going to be tough, but if we're not going to, two things that I believe each and every one of us will put our life on the line for: our faith and our children. This is that moment. This is happening right before our eyes. Michelle Bachmann said it last night. This is the time. This is the revelation.
So this Miss Keisha, she's pretty fed up with the public school system and all the crap that they're shoving down the kids' throats. This girl Keisha, she's about 40 years old, has 3 children. She lives in Jacksonville, Florida. She's an outspoken critic on critical race theory. She's a member of Moms for Liberty. She also used to be a regional coordinator for the Republican National Committee. I bet when I gave that description, then you guys all thought, man, this must be some Karen. This is some white Karen girl with that "can I talk to your manager" haircut. Just the typical Karen who complains so atrociously about everything and somehow ends up on social media and the news and going viral for being so stupid. Well, you guys, you'll be surprised today. This is the girl that I'm talking about. She's black. She's black. How in the world is she black? She's giving me some Candace Owen vibes, you guys. Saying all these things. Luckily, we have a little bit of backstory of how this girl arrived at this point in her life. She voted Democrat every year until 2016, which is when she said she found God and stopped seeing her life purely through the lens of being black. She then started voting Republican. Cool. So now instead of having a race lens clouding her vision, she has a political party lens clouding her vision. I guess you could see that as a step in the right direction depending on how you look at it. Well, a couple days ago, she said that the Biden administration had become so forceful in its fight against conservative families, the parents now face the prospect of having the FBI randomly knock on their door when they're making dinner. She shed some light on why she thinks this, though. According to the article I'm reading, the reason she's saying the Biden administration is so forceful is due to a memo that was recently released by Attorney General Merrick Garland. So if you notice that video we watched, it talks about Miss Keisha saying we need to have a mass exodus, but she doesn't really say if it was a response to the memo. it's hard for me to know whether she's actually responding to that memo because she doesn't really say. And I also looked at the memo. It's not that bad. There's some questionable items inside it, but we can go through it together. There has been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff who participate in the vital work of running our nation's public schools. Yeah, of course, the vital work. Public schools have been shown to be the worst performing schools over the last 20 years. While debate about policy matters is protected under our Constitution, that protection does not extend to threats of violence or efforts to intimidate individuals based on their views. Yeah, threats of violence are definitely not protected under the Constitution, but I would definitely not agree that intimidation isn't protected. Intimidation is not the same thing as a threat of violence. Here's an example of what intimidation is. If you don't sell me your product for this certain price, I will do business with someone else. Someone could be intimidated by that, but it's completely legal and protected speech though. Then the memo just goes on to say that these threats and intimidation will be taken seriously and steps will be taken to address these criminal activities, and they'll be working with local law enforcement to address the threats. I think this memo would actually be completely fine if it didn't include the excerpts about intimidation. I think intimidation is okay as long as it's not violent intimidation. I don't think threats of violence are okay. And if you disagree with the school board and the education that your children are being taught, you should get with all the other parents in your county that also don't agree. Start a campaign for one of the county members who are willing to run for a school board position. Then you'll have someone in a position that'll be able to decide exactly what is taught in the public schools. So I don't know if this girl was actually responding to this memo. I don't think she was, and I bet the authors of this article probably didn't look into the situation long enough to realize that everyone hates public schools, and they hated them before this memo came out. Everyone already wants to not send their kids to public schools and get taught all these garbage ideas that they're getting taught, teaching them to be victims and think the world is completely against them no matter what, and that they have no way to make their own way in the world because their race. And that's what critical race theory basically is in a nutshell. Another reason people are upset with Merrick Garland and saying that he's trying to make so parents can't speak about critical race theory is because his son-in-law, Zan Tanner, is actually one of the founders of Panorama Education, which is a company that specializes in providing helpful data to schools and also happens to be one of the big promoters of critical race theory. Are the people upset about this aware how politics works? The reason anyone goes into politics is to help their own companies or companies of family members to get government contracts. I mean, that's politics 101. There's nothing new about that. I'm not sure why people are so surprised by this. In conclusion, no matter what side of politics you're on, assume that the other side is evil and overreaching, because they are. Try to get out of this side or that side. Try to be more in the middle, or even just try to take a step back and look at it with the full picture in mind. Even if one side has ideas you agree with more, don't fall into the echo chamber on that side. Take the good from both sides and don't commit violence, and don't blame others for your problems.